The allure of riches is always stronger than the pull of the cartel, unless they have a gun to your head. What CNN did by hosting Donald Trump was an affront to the media cartel that wanted to black out the Donald. Previously, in 2015, 2016, when they considered him a joke, they covered all of his rallies non-stop. And if you hadn't noticed, previously, they had decided not to air the proclamation that he was running for president. And Fox News even let Donald Trump know that they weren't going to support him and they were not going to give him airtime. So you had the media cartel essentially trying to put a blanket over the noise and attention that Donald Trump would otherwise get from the public. But CNN, with sinking ratings, decided that it was in their best financial interest to hold a town hall. And no doubt they did so with an agreement from Trump that would allow them to have Republicans in the crowd cheering him on. Then you had, afterwards, Anderson Cooper go on and say the following.
Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe black men, and call Caitlin Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who stands up to him. It was disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he's sexually abused and defamed. As good a job as Caitlin Collins did trying to fact-check him, it is impossible to fact-check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that, giving him the audience, the time, I get that. But this is what I also get. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president. And according to polling, no other Republican is even close. That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States in less than 2 years. And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country. They are your family members, your neighbors, and they are voting. And many said they're voting for him. Now, maybe you haven't been paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It is happening again. He hasn't changed, and he is running hard. You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
Frankly, if I was Chris Licht, the head of CNN, I would fire Anderson Cooper for cause. Imagine opening up an ice cream store and somebody giving a sample out and your employee being so embarrassed by it that he says, I understand if you never ever come back and watch us again. Or are you groveling before your libtard crowd? Not the libtards. It's hard for me to even call them liberals. These are leftists, not liberals. But the point being that Chris Licht made a business decision and the cartel's spell was broken. A cartel is essentially an agreement that nobody's going to engage in activity below a certain price. And in this case, that price was airtime for Donald Trump. But the ratings temptation and the money flowing into the coffers in order to keep your job proved to be an economic incentive too irresistible for CNN and Chris Licht not to take advantage of and profit from it. And what you will find is in the near future, the cartel silence that they were collectively going to give to Donald Trump and put a mute button on him will be lifted, because as CNN climbs in the ratings, because you're darn well tootin' that CNN is going to hold another one of these after accumulating 3.1 million watchers, the highest ratings of any show that it's had in recent memory. They're going to do another, and other networks are going to follow suit. So what happened here was the cartel was broken because of an economic incentive that one of the principal players had. And Donald Trump will be getting more and more airtime. Whether or not that's a good thing for the Republican Party, for Donald Trump, for America, is a whole other story. But I'm just trying to explain to you the cartel situation and the economic incentive that rises and breaks the stranglehold that they would have on such actions. If you thought this was useful, please share the video, thumb up, subscribe, and I'll see you at the next town hall that CNN holds for the Dawnster.